Hey guys, it's Nikki, back with another episode of Advice on Roleplays. So today, like I said in last episode, I'll be teaching you how to make a character. Well, at least my opinions on how to make a character. Please, do not take these to heart if they bother you or affect you in some type of way. This is merely my way of giving advice. Now, on to the episode. I have 5 steps to help you make a character as best as you possibly can. So, the steps are, first of all, don't overpower your characters. No Mary or Gary Sues. Second step is have a character type. Third step, make a history based on that type. Fourth step, add details. Fifth step, add those final touches. Now, let's get started. Step 1. No one wants a Mary or a Gary Sue in their roleplay, because that means that person has all the power. Having all the power, sure, might sound like a good thing, but it never really is. Having a character that's too overpowered can lead to several difficulties, such as how to end the story, or how to kill off different characters. If your character is the only one that's actually doing anything, then other characters may be so belittled that they're not needed anymore. So it's always best to give your character the right amount of power and the right amount of weakness. A Mary Sue or a Gary Sue is just a character who has way too much power and can't be killed off. Having one of these is very bad, and you should probably change some of your character's weaknesses and strengths if they sort of end up looking like this. This is what all those people, when they have their roleplay rules up, mean when they say no Mary or Gary Sues. No one really wants that in their roleplay. Also, for the people that make those roleplays, whenever you ask someone not to make them, try not to make them yourself. Making a god roleplay character can be okay, as long as they have some type of flaw. All of the gods always have a flaw in every single mythology, so it's okay for your character to have one too. Now, step 1, pretty easy. It's just a bunch of don'ts. So, don't overpower. Don't make them, well, you can make them immortal per se, but don't make them so that they can't fall. That's all that really needs to happen. If a character can fall, then it's perfectly fine. Whether they be them dying or them just failing to do something. Now, let's move on to step 2, which can add a little bit more difficulty since people have a lot of different opinions on which different things mean. So, step 2 is basically just choosing what type of character you want your character to be. Are they a hero type of character? Or maybe they're just like smart or normal. Or maybe they're really adult. I don't know. I'm trying not to say too many R18 words. My parents are going to listen to this. But anyway, having a character type is really cool. And it can also help when developing your character later. Developing your character throughout a story is okay, as long as it stays true to what you actually wanted them to be like. Choosing a character type can always help keep a guideline whenever you're doing that later on. Now, say you choose a hero character type, which is one of the character types we're going to be using later on when I do my example. So, a hero character should always have the strong will to do good. That doesn't mean they're actually always doing good, but the fact that they're thinking about it is always there. Sort of like Iron Man. Iron Man always plans to do good. That doesn't mean he's always right, and doesn't mean he's always in the right. Sometimes, let's be honest, Tony Stark can be a little bit egotistic, but we still consider him a hero because of what he does. He's always putting other people ahead of himself. At least most of the time. Anyway, a hero character type can be portrayed in many different ways. Either they're the knight in shining armor who saves the princess, or the one kid who stood up to the school bullies. A hero can be a wide arrangement of things. Going from a normal character to a hero type is also very popular to do. But when you do this, make sure not to overpower them with that hero character type. Because remember, in the beginning, they were originally just a normal character. Having a balance between two different character types is done a lot, and sometimes it can change throughout the story, such as a hero going from evil to good. Now, just because they go from a bad character to a good character doesn't mean that they lose all the traits they had before. Ever seen Descendants? Anyway, having a character with two different character types can be very fun and a little confusing. So whenever you're choosing character types, make sure that your character types line up. Okay, step 2 was a little bit more difficult than step 1, but still not as difficult as step 3 will probably be. Step 3 is choosing a history for your character. A character with no history is basically just a body with no life. Jumping a character into something and not having a background for what they do is not very smart, shall we say. Let's see. Having a hero character type means that something must have happened to them in the past that made them want to do good. For this character that I'll be doing my example for, maybe we'll just say that he wanted power, okay? Honestly, that's all he wanted in the beginning. And then finally he got the whole hang of this whole hero thing and he actually cared about the people he was saving. Now, your character may not have that problem. Maybe their friends got hurt and so they decided, from now on I'm going to protect everyone so even my friends don't get hurt. Sometimes it can be just as simple as, I grew up watching all these heroes and I wanted to be just like them too. Now, choosing their history can also be full of research. If you really want to do things right and really detailed, then try to do some research and try to pull up some stuff that may or may not relate to your character. Maybe it clashes with your character and that's why they want to be a hero so bad, to prove that they can go against the reality. And then you can also do research on different backgrounds and what type of hero you want to make them. So you can do myths or religion, or even legends. Old folklore can also help. Sometimes those really old stories you learn in English class can really help you when making a character, or the stuff you learn in history class, and maybe even science class. Math, I don't know. Math just usually helps with age and timeline. So I guess they're all helping in some type of way. Anyway, make sure that their age lines up with their history too. You don't want to say that something happened like centuries ago and then they show up 18 in 2020. That doesn't exactly line up, unless of course there's a reason why, like the character is immortal. But you have to really explain that and explain why and how come in that history they become immortal. Characters don't just become immortal all of a sudden unless they were born so, such as demigods or something of the sort, in which they're born immortal or they have the ability to reach immortality, such as the Fountain of Youth. Now, once you have your history down packed, you need to make sure that it all lines up with the actual history. Sometimes people do fact checks, and sometimes it doesn't line up. And then that means that you're getting away with changing your character and changing their background as if it didn't exist at all. So make sure you have something to solidify what people are going on. When you're in a roleplay, it's never best to leave the person who created the roleplay and has to keep track of all the characters in the dark about something and then spring it up on them later. Sometimes it's not exactly a good idea, and it'll probably get you kicked out. But make sure that you always tell that person, even if it's privately, that you have something else going on in your character, and maybe want to surprise the other roleplayers. But leaving a hint in the comments section, or wherever you're roleplaying, is always great. Don't leave anyone in the dark about anything from your character's history, or else you might run into some complications later. Now that history's out of the way, we can move on to our fourth step, which is adding detail. What does your character look like? Is your character a female or male? Or is your character both? Trust me, I know you're out there listening, King, and what you pulled with Beat was kind of sucky, because I had no clue what their gender was, and I still don't, and it's really just, God, I'm pulling my hair out. I really want to know. Anyway, that's not the point. Having a character and knowing their detail is very important. And so when you do this, adding detail can either be permanent or it can be based on age. Having a character who is a female at a young age, growing up with pigtails in her hair, and maybe even when she gets older having braces, to growing up and there's a gender change and she's male, that works, as long as your history backs it up. This is why you have to have history before you start actually making details. Sorry guys, I am a little sick this episode. But, anyway, moving on. Having a character who may have rainbows in her hair, or maybe a character who's a little too into black, can do with their history too. This is why I said that history is very important in creating detail and both all the extra things that you need to consider when you're creating your character. Now, having great details can lead to a great character, such as hair texture, facial features, maybe even the color of their eyes, and the roughness of their hands. Can tell a lot about a character, and it goes a lot with their history. A character with a history of hard work may have callous hands, and they may have very rough or dirty hair. These are all things that lead up to great character detail. So make sure you include this whenever you're creating a bio. Now, next, make sure that you know what nationality they are. Sometimes it doesn't really matter, and other times it does. I have characters who are from England and from Norway, and even a character who lives in Cambodia, but is actually from Africa. Sometimes it doesn't line up, and sometimes it does. Now, let's see. Giving a character detail, such as our hero character that we're currently creating. Let's see. Maybe they're strong and masculine, and yet they have really soft hair. Sometimes the contrast can add a little bit more, what's that word? I don't know. I'm not going to know everything, guys. It's just not going to happen. Anyway, keeping that up can add a lot of diversity for your character. And adding diversity is very good. And it sometimes keeps the character kind of in a blind spot. It's not too blind spot that people don't know what your character is like, but sort of, it leaves them asking, and when you finally get an answer, you have another question. Such as what you constantly did to me, Brahmin. I'm going to get you, King. I'm going to figure out all of your riddles. I am going to figure them out. That was another rant. Sorry, guys. Not really. But, let's see. Adding detail can also help pull your character into depth. Maybe it's sort of like a character who rebels and they have tons of tattoos. Giving that character certain tattoos can add to why they got those tattoos. So types of tattoos such as butterflies or maybe birds or Japanese subscripts. I don't know. But all of those give your characters a certain detail that they wouldn't have had if you hadn't added that detail. Now that you understand the importance of detail, let's go to those final touches, the weaknesses and strengths. Giving your character certain weaknesses can always help when you're going through and you have no idea what to give them. Now, based on their history is basically what you base their weaknesses and their strengths off of. So maybe they're afraid of spiders, that's the weakness. But they have a very strong determination. That balances both of those out. And sometimes the strengths and the weaknesses don't balance each other out, and that's okay. Like having a fear of heights, and maybe your strength is staying on the ground. That balances both of those out. But if you have a fear of heights, and you're constantly in the air, it doesn't exactly work out because your character is constantly afraid. So it's best to balance them out sometimes, and sometimes your strengths are going to outweigh your weaknesses, and your weakness will outweigh your strengths. And that's okay. It's part of making a character more lifelike. Maybe that character is afraid of blood, and they're always in some type of bloody battle. That means that they're constantly having relapses, and your character can constantly get hurt. Maybe they don't always get hurt, and maybe there's not always a lot of blood. But still, there's always the chance that character can get in some type of fight that will sort of release a phobia that other characters may not have known they had, or knew they had, but didn't exactly know that they had it. So now you understand that having a character with different weaknesses and strengths can really empower that character actually, not actually bring them down. Next, make sure you list out all the powers they have, if they have any, or list the lack thereof. In fact, Oedipus Rex doesn't have any powers. Everyone just thought he was talking to the gods by the way that he was doing everything, which you'll actually need to understand. Whereas the Sphinx didn't have powers either. She just told riddles and ate people. So sometimes a character can be pretty scary without powers anyway. I mean, come on. Would you want some creature telling you a riddle and you get it wrong and then you get eaten? No, I didn't think so. Anyway, that was our final step, guys, which means I'm now on to my example, which might have to wait till next episode, because this episode is already getting pretty long, and I know it's not like those 30-minute long episodes, but I also still have to edit stuff. So, I'll give you the example next video. And King, don't worry, I get the chapter up. That way you can read it without being too impatient. Cause yeah, I'm actually looking at a comment you wrote up. Sorry about that, bro. And so, yeah, I'll get that up soon enough. And please update some of your stuff, man. I know this is really weird. I put this in a YouTube video, but that's because I'm ranting now. And so, yeah. Well, I'll see you guys next time. In the next episode, I'll just give up my examples for my characters, and I'll have that completely planned out for you guys. So no worries. Please, remember to like, comment, and subscribe at the bottom. If you have any art you want to send me, go ahead, send it my way, and I'll post it up. Fan art? Go ahead, send it my way. I love plenty of anime, and if you send me something that's really cool, I'll make sure to favorite it. Or I'll find some way to give it any type of recognition. Thanks, guys. Bye. Hey guys, it's Nicky, back with another episode of Advice on Roleplays. So today, like I said in last episode, I'll be teaching you how to make a character. Well, at least my opinions on how to make a character. Please, do not take these to heart if they